In a speech from Binance Blockchain Week, Brad Garlinghouse says that 2026 is going to be a big year for the cryptocurrency market. He says a lot more, so let's watch the whole thing. If I need to pause it and give you more background, I will. I also want to show you a few other things after this, so don't leave. The best is still to come. Brad, tell me why you think bears are back in the market. So why are bears getting back into the market? First of all, thanks for having us. I believe this is a wonderful event. I'm going to this event for the first time, but I hope to be back next year too. It's great to see both of you. Think about it. Crypto has gone through cycles and people are excited when there is danger. Now you have a moment of risk-taking. It's not certain. I will agree with some of what Richard said. And there are a lot of macro forces that keep giving. Tailwinds for this business. And I don't think I've been this optimistic in the last few years as we head into 2026. As Richard said, you do have clear regulations in the world's largest economy. I also think that people don't give this enough credit. The United States makes up 22% of the world's GDP. And this market has been publicly against crypto for at least 4 or 5 years, but maybe even longer. You can see that things have changed a lot pretty quickly, but institutions are still getting used to it to some extent. You saw BlackRock and Franklin Templeton perform here. Think Vanguard has opened up just this week. In the past, Vanguard has said, we won't touch crypto. And now there's been a huge change. That's just one of many things that's making those tailwinds happen. That's why I'm really excited about the coming year. Finally, I'll say something that I think we can all agree on. We are seeing real-world uses for it that aren't just theory. It is getting easier to use interfaces, which means crypto isn't just fantasy. It's about fixing problems in the real world. I think that's what you'll see more and more of in order to keep up that long-term confidence in bull market. Brad is really right. Am I right? Crypto is no longer just a guessing game. It comes down to use and what. Is it possible to use blockchain and DLT to solve problems on a large scale and for a low cost? For 50 years, we've been using this system, which is now old, slow, and expensive. We're sick of paying for things we shouldn't have to. Remember when a text message cost about 25 cents? If you sent more than 200 texts in a month, you had to pay hundreds of dollars for each one. That is the same issue we are having with payments. Across the world, and this is what this new technology, blockchain, DLT, XRP, and other assets will be able to do. They will be able to get value instantly and for a very small amount of money. That's real power. What do you think about this too? Do you believe the ETF floor got too much attention? No way, no way. There's no doubt that the information you were giving was right, but I think you need to take a step back and realize that this ETF didn't exist. They didn't exist because of problems with regulations in the US. Over $700 million has flown into XRP ETFs in the last 2 or 3 weeks. This is just built up demand from big investors and investors who want access but don't want to hold the coins themselves. Having said that, when you look at the ETF market as a whole, crypto only makes up 1% or 2% of it. Anyone here can bet that number will be higher than 1% or 2% in a year. There are going to keep coming in. For sure, you can look back at the numbers you just gave and say, okay, there are still 1 billion Bitcoin ETFs left. You could look even further ahead and ask, do we really think that crypto ETFs will only make up 1% or 2% of the whole ETF market by 2026? Not a chance. Again, this is one of those macro tailwinds that puts Ripple in a position where we see a lot of interesting activity. Institutions that have been on the sidelines are getting involved, starting small and going to walk, then crawl, then walk, then run. This could be because regulations aren't clear enough or because people don't want to take risks. It looks like it will make a lot of breeze. In this sentence, Brad says that they changed the name of Ripple Prime from Hidden Road to Ripple Prime after taking over the company. Since they took over, they've helped that business grow really quickly. Since they took over in May, I think they've done about 3 times as much. Other institutions were maybe a little scared or didn't want to use these services that Ripple was giving because the rules weren't clear. This is what Brad is talking about. I think those schools are now at least testing it and doing smaller groups, right? You say you'll crawl, then walk, then run. That's the same as anything else, right? Institutions need to get used to this new technology before they can fully utilize it. However, once they begin to see how useful it is, they are all on board. That must put stress on the rest of the business world, right? What kind of situation are you in if you are a bank trying to save your business or your customers but don't have this new technology, but the bank next door does? How long can you keep being a bank without this new tech? Because it's the best technology on the market, everyone has to use it. I honestly believe that XRP will become one of the most valuable things in the world. That isn't to say that this market moment has scared off big capital. That is what you say. Certainly not. Could you talk a little more about how institutions are adopting this and what you're seeing in terms of paying for things in the real world? I think you're exactly right about the stablecoin point you're making. As people became less willing to take risks, they stayed with stablecoins, which shows, as Richard says, how useful they are and how they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But it's also trust. Years ago, they might have said, I want to make a deal with someone I trust even more. More and more people are realizing that stablecoins can be reliable and simple to handle. But look, this area in particular pushed for clear rules early on. A little more than a year ago, Ripple released a stablecoin. Its market value just went over $1 billion. Now, though, it's also okay and on the whitelist in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and the DFC. Japan, it works well as collateral for a loan on a number of sites. Again, I believe that getting real problems solved and having good leverage that is easy to move and more adaptable can be, you moved more than once a day, which wasn't possible before. I think we'll see a lot of unlocks that, when Ripple thinks about this, and it's an honor to be here with these two. We want the whole ecosystem to do well. We want Solana and Binance to do well because I think we're still bringing people into it. One way to do that is with stablecoins. There will be a lot of other apps. Some will be made by Ripple, some by the Solana community, and some by Binance. In the US, President Trump is the big guy. Let's switch gears and talk about what's going on in the US. Because Brad, you've also said in the past that the regulatory environment is unfriendly. Do you think things are better now? What do you think about the regulatory plan in the US right now? It will have an effect on your business in the long run. The 300 million people that Richard is talking about is something that I think Binance has done really well. They're getting people interested in crypto. We've all been in an echo chamber with crypto people. But what's great about the passionate pioneers in this room is that they've been out of it. We only want that group to get bigger. I think what you're seeing in the US with clear regulations, Richard already brought up the Genius Act, is what you're seeing here. The Genius Act makes it clear how safe coins are regulated, and more businesses are already interested in stablecoin payments. We shake. They recently bought a company called G Treasury, which can see more than $10 trillion in payments from their business users. How many of those customers have already bought something? I mean, the deal finished on Monday. There are already a lot of users coming to us who want to use stable coins for their flexibility, better yield, and as a reliable resource. People are leaning in because it's clear. Ripple was in a long legal battle with the US government, and the federal courts made it clear what the rules were for XRP. Quickly, what Brad said there is pretty cool. After the purchase for G Treasury is finished, he says that companies that worked with G Treasury are now coming to Ripple to work with G Treasury. They want to know about Ripple's safe coins and other technologies. These people want to use them now that they're available, right? They also have top 1,000 business partners. $10,000, $500,000, $1,000 is moved every year. All of that comes through G Treasury every day. Now they can do all of that with XRP, RLUSD, and the technology stack that Ripple has given them. Okay, just think about that for a moment, because this company moves $12.5 trillion every year. What is the next business and the next business, right? You get 2, 3, 5, or 10 of these businesses. You are moving 250 billion and 500 billion pieces now. You're moving $1 trillion now. In this way, you can build up enough cash to serve everyone. We have been a voice for regulatory clarity for crypto in general, and we know that Team Solana has been a voice for what is usually known as the Clarity Act in the US. There is still progress being made on that. I don't think it will happen this year, even though President Trump has pushed for it. But yeah, I think that sometime in the first part of next year, laws will be passed that will continue to open up more opportunities and help the whole industry. I'll take a chance and say that Bitcoin will be worth $180,000 on December 23rd or December 31st, 2026. Okay, where is the bullish market for that now? So, a few things. Brad talked about rules, the Clarity Act, the first quarter, and maybe 2026 at the end. It looks like this was changed. We first heard about it around the middle of the year. It was about Clarity Act, maybe September, then October, and finally Thanksgiving. It will likely be next year now. Well, it looks like the can has been kicked down the road. The good thing about this is that XRP is clear. Not everyone in the crypto market does. In a direct sense, this helps Ripple since their goods are built around the XRP ledger. You start to like a part of me is like, this is nice. Clarity should be pushed further down the road because this will help Ripple and XRP, but a part of me thinks that more people will join the business if we can make things clear for everyone else. It's kind of like when you first learn about XRP and decide how much you want to buy. Then the price goes up and you wonder, would I rather the price